What's going on, everybody? Victor here with a brand new video, and I gotta talk about the UFC London card yet again, just because of how stacked it is and because of the number of fighters with extreme amounts of talent that are going to be competing on that night on July 23rd from the O2 London Arena. And another fight that I have to talk about is going to be Volkan Oezdemir versus Paul Craig. Volkan Oezdemir 7-6 versus Paul Craig 16-4-1. Both these guys are trying to get back into title talks, basically. Obviously, Paul Craig has never been into the title talks, and he's trying to get his way to the top of the division. That way, he can be able to fight for a title before his UFC career wraps up. Volkan Oezdemir has already challenged for the title, ended up losing to Daniel Cormier, and he ended up getting TKO'd in that title fight, which was pretty much one-sided. But what got him to the title shot was his wins over OSP, Misha Serkinov, and Jimmy Manuel. All those wins were able to get him towards a title shot. And as a result, not only did he get to the title shot, but he was able to do his absolute best against Daniel Cormier until he got stopped. But as a result, he did get that title shot, and that's something that's important for Paul Craig. If he can be able to beat an individual that fought for the title a couple years back against the best of the best, that means that it's a gateway into, and I'm saying this because Volkan Oezdemir is basically a gatekeeper at this point in his career in the UFC light heavyweight division. But like I said, that's a gateway for Paul Craig to get through in order to face steeper competition in the division. But it's not going to be an easy one because if we all know Volkan is that he has a lot of power. And the last person that he knocked out was Ilir Latifi, but he hasn't been able to knock out anyone ever since. It's been extremely hard for him to get people out of there. But his last well-known name that he got out of there, not by TKO or submission or anything, but via decision, was Alexander Rakic. Even though it was a back-and-forth fight, it was very, very close. He got the nod at the end of the day, and Alexander Rakic was on the outside looking in, and he was considered one of the best, and still is considered one of the best in the world, but he did take a substantial step back in the UFC light heavyweight division. He won't be back for a while after tearing his ACL, or tearing one of the ligaments in his knees. But, like I said, Volkan Oezdemir still has some gas left in the tank, and he's not going to take it easy when he fights Paul Craig. Paul Craig has been on the tear lately, just submitting guys left and right. His last well-known opponent was not Misha Serkinov, but Nikita Krylov, and he got him out of there in the first round via submission. And if there's one thing he loves to do, he loves his triangles, he loves his rear naked chokes, the neck cranks, he loves his guillotine chokes, he loves all of that. And he didn't only just submit Nikita Krylov, he also submitted Jamal Hill, and Jamal Hill is making a big splash in the UFC light heavyweight division. That just speaks volumes the words of how talented Paul Craig is, but he's still on the outside looking in. What else does he have to do to fight the stiffest competition in the division? Insert Volkan Oezdemir, and here we go. We got this fight. It's going to be going down in London, which means that there's definitely going to be a lot of fans from Scotland coming down to be able to watch Paul Craig. This is also a homecoming for him, as well as all the other fighters fighting from the UK on this card, because he is from Glasgow. Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland, and they're definitely going to be seeing a lot of individuals from Glasgow going all the way to London, England, just to see this man fight because of how exciting he is. And like I said, he's been finishing individuals left and right with his jiu-jitsu, because his jiu-jitsu is one of the best in the division and and by itself. And if he can get this win against Volkan Oezdemir, which isn't going to be easy at all, then he will be fighting the best in the division very soon. But his key to victory is definitely going to be taking this fight to the ground, because Volkan Oezdemir is not known to be a ground fighter, but he can also be able to knock him out as well, as long as you put pressure on him. Jerry Prochazka ended up knocking Volkan Oezdemir out because he poured a lot of pressure on him, and Volkan Oezdemir ended up withering as a result of it. And Volkan Oezdemir, one thing about him is that he needs to be on the offensive. He needs to be able to pepper the jabs. He needs to set up his punches. He needs to throw volume out there, volume to the wind, in order to get a finish against Paul Craig, because he's definitely not going to be having the advantage on the ground, because that's Paul Craig all day, every day. So he's going to have to keep this fight standing the whole entire time. Paul Craig is going to try to take it down, so his takedown defense is going to have to be sharp on that night, and he's going to have to try to set his shots as best as possible, try to cut his angles, and try to set up the shots from different sorts of angles. That way he can be able to surprise Paul Craig, and definitely try to set his shots up. Obviously, you want to feint as many times as possible to make your opponent commit the errors, to make your opponent jump. That way you can be able to create a opening, whether it lasts 1 second or 2 seconds. As long as you can be able to capitalize on that opportunity, you have a very high possibility of possibly finishing the fight. But in Volkan Oezdemir's case, he needs to make this fight dirty as possible. When he faced Jimmy Manuwa, he ended up finishing the fight as a result of dirty boxing. Dirty boxing against the fence of the octagon is what set up those devastating blows that he landed on Jimmy Manuwa in order to knock him out. And he's definitely going to have to find those type of skills in this fight against Paul Craig. That Paul Craig is going to try to come in for a takedown. You're going to want to sprawl. You're going to want to get the underhooks in there, reverse the position, get Paul Craig against the fence, and work the same dirty boxing that you did against Jimmy Manuwa, and try to see if you can hurt Paul Craig, because Paul Craig has been hurt in the past. Last time he got knocked out was against Alonzo Menifield, and Alonzo Menifield is another up-and-coming UFC light heavyweight prospect in the division, but he was knocked out by Alonzo Menifield because he committed to a mistake. If Volkan Oezdemir can make Paul Craig commit to a mistake, he can capitalize on that the way that Alonzo Menifield did, that led to him finishing Paul Craig off. Both these individuals can be finished. Both these individuals can end this fight before the 15 minutes are up. And there's definitely going to be a lot of electricity in the air, especially in the O2 Arena, because there's going to be fans all over the place. I believe 20,000 in attendance, 20,000 capacity, and there's a lot of stakes when it comes to this fight. Volkan Oezdemir, like I said, he's trying to get back into title contention, and he's fought the best in the whole entire division, but this division continues to evolve, it continues to change, and Paul Craig is part of that change. Ever since Paul Craig is coming into the UFC a couple years back, he was up and down for the most part in the very early stages, but he's been coming up strong lately. He really wants a title shot, and he wants to fight the best guys. And it's been very hard for him to find the best guys. And I believe he was supposed to fight. He was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson, and that fight did not go through. That fight had to be canceled, and as a result, he's getting the next best guy that he can be able to get for himself, and that's Volkan Oezdemir, which isn't really a big drop-off, because Alexander Gustafsson hasn't been looking good over the last couple of years. So, and he's still fighting a guy who fought for the title in the division. So, this great news, absolutely great news for Paul Craig. And I say Paul Craig has the best chances of winning this fight. And as a result, I'm going to go with Paul Craig because he has a lot of upside coming into this matchup. It's going to be in his home country of the United Kingdom, and what can I say about Volkan? You know, he's been down and up and down, down and up. And I think this down slope of his is going to continue to keep on going forward as a result of this matchup. I just think both these individuals are going in two separate directions. This is a crossroads fight, and I believe Volkan's going to lose this fight, and I believe that Paul Craig is going to get him out of there via submission. I believe it's going to happen in the first round. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy the fights going on July 23rd. UFC London, Part 2, and this year of 2022. And it's going to be a good one, guys. Stay safe, stay blessed, and stay tuned. Later.